Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, I hope you're having a fantastic day and a great start to your weekend. My name is Teresa and I love all things makeup, beauty and skincare, so on the weekends I like to hang out with you guys and talk about the newest releases in that category. Of course, I don't talk about all of it because there's frankly too many releases, but you guys help me to streamline things by selecting the most entertaining content, by tagging me, DMing me, emailing me, all of that general jazz. So a massive thank you to everyone who does that. Your names are being displayed right now. There would be no episode without you guys. As always, a massive thank you to my YouTube community members. There are no words to express my gratitude, etc, etc. I really do feel like that's like not enough. Yeah, I honestly don't know what else to say beyond that. I'm a bit awkward with that sort of thing, but there you go. But anyways, we do have a whole episode coming up, so that means that you must stay hydrated. Very important, even in these winter months. Although if you're in the southern hemisphere, it is the summer months. That's right, I know how geography works. So make sure that you get your beverage of choice. Mine is, as always, tea. But as I'm filming at night time, it's decaf, and this is my mug du jour that has just a T on it in case I ever forget that my name begins with a T. Because I am that forgetful. But isn't it a gorgeous shade of green? And yes, you are right, it is a Tesco mug. Do you know what? I'm going to start off just by having a little disclaimer. I have a little bit of a tendency to be dramatic. Sometimes I engage in hyperbolic language and I'm not always the best at picking up as to whether or not I should use these particular things. So just don't take anything that I'm saying here too seriously. You know, that's kind of not the purpose. It's bit of light-hearted silliness. It's just makeup. It's not that big of a deal. Blah, blah, blah. All that sort of thing. But anyways, my first little slight bit of news is that, as you all know, Black Friday sales, it's a whole thing. Frankly, you know you don't need things, but if you are looking for specific things, I am an affiliate with Gloss Gods and they've given each of us like an additional affiliate code that you can stack onto the sales. And apparently each code will give you like up to 60 sales worth. So it will give this particular code, it's BF Teresa, I'll have it down below. It'll give you an extra 10% in case you're interested. Now obviously don't get anything if you're not interested. My personal favourites are the little jelly highlighter sticks. I think they're great. But I just figured I'd let you guys know in case anyone was looking for something there. It is what it is. But let's just jump straight into it. This is Girlcult and you can get it over on C Beauty Mall. You know the drill. Code Teresa, it'll get you money off. I'm gonna whinge again. They're still not shipping to Ireland, but I did do a C Beauty Mall haul. I did do an order and I'm sending it over to my friend Daniela. I'm gonna be bringing a lot of stuff back with me from that trip. Anyways, not the point. This is the Girlcult Jianghu series and there's quite a few things in it. So there's 3 all-in-one face palettes. There's the shade 04, which is Polaris, 05, which is Valkyrie, and 06, which is Orchid Sonnet, and they're €27.95 each. Now, I am going to say that they're called Polaris, Valkyrie, and Orchid Sonnet over on CBD Mall, but they're called something completely different over on Look Healthy, which is really odd to me. I don't know. I'm just going to go with the information that I have on CBD Mall. Then there's Love Whisper lip creams. They come in 5 shades. They're in Unyielding Bone, No Sorrow, Ruthless Hand, Untethered, and Puppish. They're €20.95 each. And then there's 6 shades of lip satin. They come in Flower Scout, Crimson Sleeve, The Hermit, The Assassin, Swordswoman, and Jianghu, and again they're €20.95 each. Now if you wanted all of those together, so that includes the 3 palettes, the 5 lip creams, and the 6 lip satins, you can get all of them plus a mirror, a little handheld mirror, and then a small little portable mirror. You can also get like a little lip oil, and there's a choker, and then like the little PR box. You can get the whole thing for €401.95. It's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. Right, I'm going to jump straight into I think the palette. And normally I will say I'm a big fan of Girlcult. I have a lot of their palettes. I think they have one of the best matte formulas. I can't figure out which one is like what brand is the absolute best, but I think they have one of the best. So when I saw these initially, or when I heard that there was something coming out from them, I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. I want to talk about the one over on the right hand side. I'm like, why does that have one big pan of blush and it's still the same price as the others? You're not getting as much, you know, variety as with the others. Now, I thought I would absolutely lose my mind over a new Girlcult, but this doesn't immediately speak to me, which actually, can we just say that that is progress? The palette Polaris, which is also going by Zway Star over on Look Healthy Store. I pulled some pictures from them because they actually did some really good swatches. I like the look of that, and I feel like the swatches do help to sell it, because initially when I was looking at it, I was like, I don't know. Like I said, I do like their mattes. And obviously their kind of shimmery formulas, multi-chromes, etc. are also really, really beautiful. But this didn't capture me in the way that I expected it to. Strangely, seeing the swatches has made me like it a bit more. But I'm trying to go on my initial assessment and kind of go, okay, Tracy, this didn't like pull at your heartstrings initially. So maybe you don't get it. Maybe you don't need it. And that's what I'm trying to land on. Because as you guys know, I have, I'll call it an issue. I do have like a completionist mindset. Bought a lot of the Girlcult stuff, and while this is absolutely beautiful, I don't think this adds something new to my collection as it is. Then the next one, which is called Valkyrie over on Sea Beauty Mall, and it's called Female General over on Look Healthy Store. That, it's a good thing again, they swatched it. It looks a lot better swatched. I think obviously the most interesting shade there is that kind of multi-chromy bit. I just don't feel like this is as interesting as some of their previous palettes. The last kind of eyeshadow palette that I got from them was the Herbal Compendium, and I remember it that well that I could remember the name, and they were two little 4-pan greenish palettes. Stunning. And now I'm not saying anything negative about these in the sense of the formula I suspect will be excellent, because I love their formula, but this feels a little bit more run-of-the-mill. It doesn't excite me as much. Now, if you're looking at this and this is a colour story that excites you, let me tell you, you will enjoy the formula. This one isn't for me. I really love the brand, but this just isn't doing it for me. And I actually think this next palette is the weakest one. So it's called The Ballad of Mulan over on Look Healthy Store, and over on Sea Beauty Mall it's called Orchid Sonnet. It just feels a bit, like I said, you're only getting 7 shades rather than 8, which you get in the other 2 palettes, because they've given you one big sort of blush pan, which you can obviously use on your eyes, etc. This feels a little bit too samey to me. There's nothing wrong with a monochromatic palette, let's be real. There's been brands that have been doing those for years and doing them very, very successfully. I just feel like, for me, this isn't as interesting. Now, do I think if I got it that I would enjoy it? I probably would. That's the reality. I really enjoy their formula, but realistically speaking, I have a lot of stuff in my collection. This isn't really adding anything to it, and I'm kind of a bit surprised, you know, that I don't love this as much as I thought I would. I feel like this is the sort of thing I'd almost have to talk myself into, and that's foolish. Let us not do that. In terms of lip creams have been becoming a lot more popular over the last number of years, and I kind of link them quite a bit with Kaleidos in terms of my first introduction to them. I'm not saying that Kaleidos came out with them first, but I'm just saying it was like my first impression of these. These are looking quite nice. I don't necessarily love the sensory feeling of lip creams, so for me, I just don't, they don't vibe with me, and that's absolutely fine. I think the price point of this is quite good, €20.95. Like that shade, Unyielding Bone, very nice. You know me, I love a cool toned lip, and that one is, it's very cool toned nude. The next couple of shades we have Ruthless Hand. They're very pretty, and No Sorrow. I think that's a really nice sort of a purple that you don't get to see that often. I think the last time I've seen a shade that looks that sort of a palish purple that comes to my mind which is saying something, is Line Crime, because I remember they actually had like a lip pencil that was very similar to that in shade, and that's just the first thing that's coming to my mind. I will say the shade Puppet, that is very, very interesting, because the fact that it has this really interesting deep purple and then these little violet micro shimmers, I think that sets it apart from the others. Do you know what I mean? Like the others just feel a little bit less interesting, and then this one is charging out to the front. In saying that, the other ones I feel are a lot more safe, they're a lot more commercial, viable for your everyday consumer. So I get why they have those. Then the shade G80, the Untethered. I don't know. I kind of feel like there wasn't much point in having the sparkles in there. They don't look, I don't know, maybe it's just the mix with that pink, which is a beautiful pink, by the way. It just feels like those, they claim it's a blue sparkle, doesn't pop in the way that you would hope that it would. Like you see over more on Puppet, it pops a lot more. And this one, it takes you a while to notice that there's those sort of glitters, you know? In terms of the lip satins, this is what's kind of getting me. I'm like, did we need all of these lip products? I feel like maybe we didn't. And I say this again, as a big fan of Girlcult, I just feel like maybe all of these weren't entirely necessary. Like, you look at Flower Scout and Crimson Sleeve. Yes, they are different shades, but ultimately, are most people going to notice there's that much of a difference? Maybe not. I just feel like in the one collection to have things that are that similar to each other, it feels a little bit redundant. Then you look at the Hermit, and no more than what I just said about Untethered, the sparkle there just feels a little bit lackluster. I feel like maybe they haven't gotten the formula down quite right on that. In my opinion, if you're gonna do a sparkly thing, do a sparkly thing. Make it a whole thing. Then you look at Assassin, and that one seems to have a little bit more glitter in it, or at least it looks a little bit more, although it doesn't look like it distributes it very evenly, which kind of irks me. And let's be real, if that's the biggest thing to irk me today, well, I'll be doing well. In terms of the last two shades, I mean, I love a sort of a red shade, so I'm looking at Swordswoman and going, beautiful. Am I going to look a little bit weird? Yeah. Now, they've said that there's red micro shimmer in that, and for the life or the love of whatever, I cannot see it. And I don't know, I think I'm in a mood. I will say it took me ages to sit down and film tonight because it's very, very late. I've been procrastinating, which maybe isn't a great sign. Maybe I need to take a little bit of a break. But yeah, I look at that and I just can't see the shimmer, so I'm not really sure what's going on. Then Jianghu, which is what the collection is named after. Really beautiful, interesting shade, but again, can't really see the shimmer. A little bit better on this, yes, but not great either. In terms of the entire collection, I just don't find it to be wildly memorable, you know? And I am, like I said, a big fan of Girlcult. I like a lot of their stuff. I think their formulas are really good. So if, by the way, you're watching this and kind of going, oh, I know you didn't like that, but I like this and I can see potential for this. Fabulous. From what I have tried of Girlcult, I stand behind their formula. I really enjoy it. You know, that's not me like poo-pooing the formula or anything like that. I just look at this and it's not really built towards somebody like me. And that's not a bad thing. Let us be 100% real here. I have more than enough stuff. I'll be fine. I could never buy makeup again and I would be fine, you know? I just feel like they do their formulas so well. I think I just get very excited whenever I see that they're coming out with something. And there's definitely like shades within each of those, like say for instance, face palettes that I'm looking at and going, yes, I like that. But is it enough for me to go off and buy a palette? I don't think so. Now, don't get me wrong, the palettes are not wildly expensive when you consider it all. I think they're like, what, €28? Then, you know, there's codes for money off. Use my code. So it's not the most expensive, but it's still expensive if you're not going to use all of it, or at least most of it. So I'm just like, there's no point in me talking myself into it just because I happen to enjoy the brand. Sometimes you can love a brand and just be like, no, don't need to get more of their things, and that's totally fine. The lip stuff, I just don't know why there was a need for 11 lip products. Like, that just feels a smidgen excessive. Now, if it was that they were coming out with a brand new line of like formulas, etc., then fair enough. That doesn't seem to be the case here. Now, I could be completely wrong. Like I said, this is not educational. This is entertainment. But, you know, when you're looking at a brand that does have an extant repertoire or back catalogue of lip products, it feels like a lot to come out with 11, bearing in mind that a lot of the bigger brands, when they do a collection, they'll do maybe 4 or 5 lip products and leave it at that. I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit too whatever, which is quite possible, quite frankly. But look, all in all, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. I think the price point isn't bad. It just isn't for me personally. I wouldn't, even if I did like all of it, I probably wouldn't get the all-in-one thing, because I just don't see the point of like the lip oil and the handheld mirrors, etc. I'm not a mirror person. it's not for me. But that's all right. You know, this next one, it is for me, and I have talked about this before in a little video during the week, so I don't want to go on about this ad nauseum simply because I fucking hate repetition. This is Cosmic Brushes. This is their Death Tarot palette. As you're watching, it's already been made available. It came out on the 28th of November, 6 p.m. UK time, for 28 Great British pounds. If you're still thinking about it, you can use codes to get money off. My good friend Tia has a code. It's Tia10. It'll get you some money off. In that palette, there's 12 mattes, 8 sparkly shimmers, and 5 of those shimmers are sort of shifty shades, and there's 1 holographic multichrome. And I will say this, and I'm surprised, but the lovely owner of Cosmic Brushes reached out and was like, I can send it to you. And I was like, what the hell? I mean, I've always joked. It's like, because I love kind of repeated jokes. I love how I just said, like, I don't like repetition, but I do repeat jokes quite a bit. I think it's like a bit of a stim for me. It's hard to know, but I'll often say, like, you have my card on file, just send it to me and debit me. But no, she's actually sent it to me oddly in PR, which I genuinely don't understand because I'm nobody, and that's fine. I'm not saying it as a like big me up or whatever. Like, I'm genuinely like, this does not seem like a very prudent financial decision, my love, but I'm very excited about that. I mean, now let's actually get into the long and short of it, of the palette. I really like the look of this. I do. Initially, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, when I saw the reds, like, you know, the little sneak peek, I was like, oh no, if this is like red and grey, it's going to be very similar to the Sinister palette, and this is very unlike Cosmic Brushes to end up duping themselves. I'm a bit confused. And I have also said before that I'm not a massive red eyeshadow wearer. I don't know, there's something about it, I think because I'm so fair, it can look a little bit odd on me, and I think maybe I don't have the confidence to pull it off, because I have seen other people who are as fair as me and they just put on a red eyeshadow and they look so cool, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not cool enough, and that's fine. Can I talk about that purple matte? There's a real vibrancy to that in the way that's swatched. It's really, really interesting. I really like the look of this. Now, when I'm actually kind of tearing it apart and looking at each of those shades, it isn't like a colourful story. In my mind, and feel free to disagree, but in my mind, when I'm looking at this palette, yes, there's colours in it, but it isn't like rainbow-esque, it isn't colourful. A lot of it is sort of, I guess in a way, and it's very hard for me to verbalise this, so bear with me, it feels very much like they're taking you by the hand and saying, if you haven't played with colour, don't worry, this is like the palette that can get you started. And if you're afraid of colour, use this one. It'll get you started on that. Conversely then, if people do really like colour, there's a lot of pops in here that you can take and combine this with their existing palettes to get something extremely colourful with. That's kind of my 2 cents on it. It is very commercial in the sense that I feel like this would appeal to a broad range of people, because as I said, there's colour, but it's not like wabam in your face rainbow palette. There's a lot of very wearable everyday colours in there, right? And I think that's a very hard mix to come by. When I'm saying that there's a red and there's a purple and there's a blue in there, and it's still managing to be very wearable everyday colours, but you know my thoughts on this, any colour is wearable, like let's tone that down. But I think that's kind of what Cosmic is attempting to do. I could be completely wrong, but it feels like they are trying to inject that bit of colour into the makeup community again, which has become very, yeah, I don't want to say lackluster, but it is very like neutral, blah, 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 nothing wrong with that. But I feel like that's where they're trying to bring people along. And I am all for it. I'm really excited about this. As I said, strangely, it's being sent to me. Don't anybody question. It's like fail, just be like, what have I done? This is a very foolish decision. And I'll be there cackling away going, ha ha ha, it's mine. Ah. I'm very excited about it. My gorgeous friend Daniela is going to be doing a look with this at some point, but unfortunately she's very unwell at the moment. So do please send lots of love in her general direction. I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing what she does with it, and I know that the palette is coming my way. There's no way I will ever do a look that is as mwah as she will do, but do keep an eye out because she is fantastic. But here's the thing, it's not just that. They also dropped this a few days ago, or a day or two ago. I can't, whatever way time works, I don't really understand it. It happens. Anyways, they put this over on TikTok, and they initially said this is coming out on TikTok on December 1st, but it looks like it's coming onto their website the same day as the palette. So the gorgeous angel, you were saying, oh, I guess I won't see you at checkout for the palette. I think you'll see me at checkout for these, because my God, these are some lip liners, but there's also some velvet matte lipsticks. I haven't found any swatches of the velvet matte lipsticks, and I have no prices on these, but you know how they are. They generally keep things very affordable, which is why I enjoy the brand as much as I do. And you see, the thing is, they were saying over on their Instagram, we weren't sure if we'd have these in time for this launch as we were still waiting on a delivery. Like, they have been working on the background on this for quite some time, and oh my God, for those of you who have watched me for quite some time, how many times have I said that I wanted a cool tone lip liner? My God, my God, my God, my God, I am so excited about this. I saw these and just immediately went, ah yes, that shade Rebel. Give it to me, give it to me. And I'm going to talk about the lipsticks in a little bit, because I don't have the shade names yet, but I've just seen them like flung on a table, and I'm like, yes, I'll have those too, please. Fuck off. I did see they put a comment saying they'll do some sort of bundles, to which I'm like, you had better. You had better. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's talk about these lip liners. So there's two shades here. Now I do think that they do look quite similar when you eyeball them first. There's Runway and It's a Sign. However, I do think that with things like this, it kind of makes sense to have ever so slight deviations with lip liners, because once you put these things onto the lip, and I should think about that when I said that shit about Girlcult, so I'll retract my previous statements about Girlcult and the lip products. So there you go. Here's the thing, with lip liners, it makes sense to have ever so slight deviations by having, like, say, more blue or more red into something, because it is going to look a little bit different on different lips. I love these. They're so gothic and they're so cool, and there's something very 90s about this, and I absolutely love it. I would like both of those, please. Then the next two shades, Signature and Effortless. I just said previously, I have line crime on the brain. I think it's because I got an email from them kind of being like, we have a Black Friday thing, and I'm like, why would I buy anything? We don't even do makeup anymore. What is going on over there? That shade Effortless reminds me of this gorgeous mauvey sort of a lip liner that they had, and I still have in my collection, because one day I will have a brand and I like to have these things as reference. So I'm like, a little bit like this, a little bit more like this. Love it. The shade Signature isn't quite my thing. I feel like those sort of warmy peachy tones don't look right on me on the lips. I can get away with it on the cheeks, not so much on the lips. But can I talk about, yeah, I can. This is my channel. I'll do what I want. Shade Rebel. I plan on pushing every single one of you out of the way so that I can get this. This is the shade that has been in my mind for a very long time that I have wanted. I don't know how to describe it, but I want my lips to look like they're dead. I do want to look a little bit unnerving, quite frankly, and that is doing it for me. I'm beyond excited about this, and based on some of the lipsticks that they've flung on the table, it could be paired quite nicely. The shade Unmatched, again, a little bit too warm for me. That's grand. I don't really mind. I'd probably, if I'm 100% honest, go for Rebel. I'd go for Effortless, and then I go for the two dark shades of Runway and It's a Sign, and the very last lip liner that they have is Invite Only. I actually think I quite like that, because that is a neutral shade, but it's like, it's a sort of neutral that isn't like very warm toned either, so it's my kind of a neutral shade that I quite like. Do you see the lipsticks though that I'm talking about? I have no information on it, so I'm absolutely useless, but you see that one that looks suspiciously like a concealer lip? That went a bit weird. Yes, does look like those are lipsticks that are made not quite to match, but to complement the lip pencils. And I'm wondering, because they have said, oh, we'll do some sort of bundles. Is it bundles of the lip liners? Is it bundles of the lipsticks? And or is it bundles of lip liners plus lipsticks and like various combinations of those? My mind is going very fast and I am very excited, like very, very excited. I know that they have been essentially developing these for a very long time, to the best of my knowledge. So honestly, kudos to them. I appreciate when a brand is taking their time to develop something, that they're not just flinging something out at us and going, ah, you know, it shows that there's like a thought behind these. And these sort of shades are very on trend. We've seen this kind of mass return to very cool toned lipsticks, very neutral, which I've been loving. Now don't get me wrong, I'll never stray away from a red lipstick. I love a red lipstick, right? When I die, paint me in red lipstick, because I actually want to look alive then. It's a very confusing mishmash of things, but I'm very excited about this. Very excited. And I can actually see how this strangely goes with the palette. All in all, done very well. FU Cosmic Brushes, you're coming for all of our money. And at this time of the year, quite frankly, it's rude. Rude. I did actually buy a bunch of home heating oil. So I'm very stoked. That's why I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm like, I'm warm in my house. It's lovely. I have to keep the kittens warm. They're so cute. It's ridiculous. Anyways, yes, I'm very excited. This is a fabulous launch and all shall go well. Then we have About Face. And normally I'm a big About Face fan. Like typically I'm sitting here being like, yes, yes, you can do no wrong. This launch I'm not as convinced on. This is the Illusionist and it's their skin focused concealer. It's basically meant to go in line with their foundation, obviously, which is called the Performer. So the Performer, the Illusionist, it's all part of that whole kind of theatrical sort of a background that she's going for, and I don't hate that idea of it. Now they say like it's a non-cakey formula, it's meant to wear for up to 16 hours, like all of that sounds fabulous. There is blue agave to help hydrate and plump, there's wild cranberry peptide to help boost radiance and help smooth skin texture, there's chlorella, all of that sort of thing, and they're $22 each. So quite frankly, price point fabulous, all of these claims fabulous. Here's where my issue is, at least based upon what I'm seeing, and maybe no, it is the full 32 shades. These are 32 shades, and they do say that there's 5 undertones, which hooray, fantastic. We love it when a brand thinks about undertones, and she is one of those ones that does think about like olivey undertones a little bit more. But look at the swatches, and that's kind of where I'm quite confused, because it's very strange. I don't really, how do I verbalize this? There's shades missing from quite a few different sections. Like when it comes to the light, I think I'd have to go with F0 Cool, and that could maybe fit me. Anything more than that would be too dark. And then we're missing some like medium shades, and then we're missing some medium dark, and then we have like a deep dark, but then there's kind of like big jumps along the way. Now I know that concealers are normally like a little bit brighter because people use them on the under eye, but people use concealer for lots of other things as well. So I'm a bit confused about the fact that we have a shade range of 32 shades, but the depth and the lightness of them is very confusing to me. And I don't understand what's going on there. Do you know, like I'm a bit disappointed because I would associate About Face as generally getting things right. They've done very, very well in the past, but it feels like there's big jumps and leaps between each of these sections, and I don't understand it. I mean, let's be real. When it comes to like say the light section, I'm not as bothered, simply because there's a wide variety of brands to choose from at lots of different price points. So that's grand. I have options here. I'm a bit more concerned about like the medium, medium deep, etc., that those aren't covered. That seems really odd to me, because the price point is very, very good. I have the Performer foundation. That is very good. I really enjoy that. And I would like to pair this with that. But I'm not even sure if the Cool will be quite right for me. Do you know what I mean? It's just a very strange one. Very, very strange one. I'm assuming that they'll eventually expand. I don't love when brands do that and expand, because I'm like, oh, just put them all out at the same time, because otherwise it feels like this whole population is an afterthought when you do it this way. I don't know. This is, I think, the first slight fail for me for the brand, and it's just from that shade range. But yeah, I wouldn't have kind of associated this kind of lack of a depth of shade ranges as something that I would see with About Face. So I think I'm just a little bit disappointed there. If it was any other brand, I think I'd just be like, meh, whatever. But I've gotten to a point now that because most of, well, no, actually everything that I've tried from About Face, I have liked. So I hold them to a really high standard, which is probably a bit unfair. So I hope that this is corrected over time, because they have a lot of potential as a brand, and I do very, very much enjoy them. But yeah, bit of a disappointment. Then we have Glaminatrix. Yes, the indie brand from down in Oz. No, not as in the wonderful wizard, as in Australia. It's a wonderful place. Don't think there's any yellow brick roads there. Sorry, my mind is still in Wicked because I went to see it last weekend. I have feelings about it, but I won't get into it because now is not the time, nor is it the place. This is the Merry Chrissy palette. It's €57.95. There's lots of codes that you can get some money off. It's available right now if you are interested. The lovely Makeup on Your Radar has a code. It's Radar10. That'll get you some money off, and she's fabulous. So if you're thinking about getting it, use her code. I look at this and I see Christmas. I do. I think it's the shimmers that does it for me. I'm a child of the 90s, and our Christmas tree had colourful lights. We had really cool lights. There were ones that were made to look like carriages. They were so cool. I think they were bought in the 80s. Very, very cool. This is what I'm seeing when I'm looking at that. I'm seeing the bright, the colourful, the fun. I hate Christmas trees that are very like lackluster. I like them to have loads of colour in them. This makes me think of that. It also makes me think of like Quality Street and Tins of Roses and all the fun wrappers. This does feel like Christmas. I'm going to say this right now. I feel like this is what Nomad Cosmetics were trying to do with their Christmas palette, and Glaminatrix have done this so much better. This is infinitely better. I love the look of this. I mean, it's just joyful to look at. It's fun. I mean, what else can I really say about this? I've seen this several times now, because I've gone back and forth, and I'm like, will I get it? And I'm like, no, Teresa, you do not need more things. But you know that shade there, Boxing Bender, and it's just below that dark blue matte, and it's sort of like a toppery, transparency shade. Jesus Christ, that's gorgeous. Oh my God. I'm going to say the only thing, and this is me probably being a bit weird, that I would have maybe swapped out, and bear with me, because I keep thinking of Tins of Roses, the chocolates. By the way, if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's chocolates. Or even, you know, Quality Street. You know how there's like so many ones that have like a purple? Yeah, I feel like a purple is missing from there. And I'd like, see that gold shade at the bottom that's swatched? I'd like that one swapped out for like a deep purpley shade, and then maybe that kind of brown camel shade, like matte shade just above that, have that swapped for a purple. That's me being very pernickety. Then that would be a Christmas palette for me. I mean, this is pretty much a Christmas palette for me. Like, this is going straight in. And normally I would be like, it's a cliche of Christmas, but this is done so well that I'm like, I see it. I see Christmas when I look at this. And they do that in the colour story. Like, it's not in the packaging. Like, the packaging looks really cute. There's like koalas and stuff on it. But it's just done very, very well. And even though there's a red in there, which I'm normally not that big a fan of a red, I'm sitting there going, yeah, I could make that work. I could make that work. Now, I'm not going to get it because I don't need it. But I think it's done really, really well. I was excited to see it because I was like, there's kangaroos on the box. That looks so cute. And yeah, Glaminatrix, they've done it again. Kudos to them. I also feel like this would work really well with all of the palettes that they've done before. Like this would complement a lot of the things that they've done. Like even their 6-pan palettes that are very monochromatic in colour. I've like the green one, the purple one, the blue ones, etc. So I'm like, ooh, I could see how they'd work really well there. So I'm like, yeah, I like it. I'm excited about that. Then we have Moira Cosmetics, who also go by Moira Beauty. That's their handle, like their URL. There's quite a few things here. And they've launched, but because it's like that weird moment of Black Friday, Cyber Monday nonsense, they have said like, this is what the price will normally be and this is what the price is right now. So there's a few euro taken off each of those. In this whole new launch, there are 2 eyeshadow palettes. There's the Diamond Glitz and there's the Lumina Vault eyeshadow palette. And they should typically be €36.95 each, but right now they're €33.95. There's 8 new shades of the Supernova Multichrome Gel Liners. They're normally €11.95, which is very affordable, but now they're €7.95. Now I have all of the ones thus far, so I don't have those 8 new ones, and I am side-eyeing them. I will say that right now. There are 6 shades of the Supernova Glitz Shadow. They're normally €17.95 each, but right now they're down to €15.95. But if you wanted to bundle the 6 of those, you can get it for €91.95 normally, but now it's €82.95. Let's talk about those palettes. There's something about this that makes me... I think some of those pans make me think of Ofra, and then there's parts of this that makes me think of P. Louise, and parts of this that makes me think of Essence. The purpose of these palettes seems to be not so much like a palette that you can make a whole look from, because they're all shimmery sort of shades. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to talk about the blue one first. My god, the swatches are absolutely horrendous. They have not done them justice, but I do find that so many brands do that, and Moira have done that in the past. They're not very good at taking pictures of their own products, but you can see some of those shades have some interesting shifts based upon the way that they're presented. I'm assuming this is almost like, you know how there's quite a few palettes that are out there that are all shimmers and multichromes, etc., and they are very expensive. You know, think about your Genesis, etc. I think this is their attempt to make a more affordable one, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think that they're not very good at selling the item, like they don't show it very well. Anything that I have from Moira Cosmetics I actually think is really damn good, so it's a pity they're not selling it well, because it's coming off as a bit more Essence than anything else. And then when we get onto the pink palette, it's kind of more of the same, where it just registers as very lackluster. I think it's the combination as well of the packaging, the different pan shapes. It just comes off as looking very sort of Claire's Accessories, very cheap makeup. And there's nothing wrong with cheap makeup, but they do have this priced at €36.95 normally, so it isn't like inexpensive either. I do suspect this is one of those ones that it is going to be a lot nicer when you see it. My kind of issue with this one is that there's not a lot of depth when it comes to those shimmers, so this is going to be a little bit trickier on deeper skin tones to really get the sort of looks that you might be looking out for. I don't know, like I have one of their eyeshadow palettes and I think it's really, really nice and I really enjoy it. I get good use out of it. I just feel like this one is a little bit of a miss. However, the thing I'm excited about are those 8 new multichrome gel liners. Now, their existing ones they had, I actually got as part of a set because it worked out a lot cheaper, and they are so good. Like, I just love a multichrome gel liner. You could do the most basic look and then be like blurp and pop on a multichrome gel liner and it just transforms things. These are more pastel in shade, and this is the sort of thing that I'm interested in. I'm going to show you each of these because they've also popped them onto the eye. See what I'm talking about, them being a bit more pastel? Like I'm looking at each of these going, yep. At the moment, they haven't gotten any sort of a bundle deal having the 8 of those together, but my god, I want them. Like, I love each of these. I don't think there's any of them that I'm looking at and going, I don't know. Like, they are beautiful. I think maybe there's two kind of pinky gold ones that are kind of similar, but there's one that has more of a red base to it and doesn't lean as gold as the other. So I'll let it slide. There's kind of some greeny blue ones. But again, even just the proportion of the green to the blue to the gold that they have, it is different. I like these. I do. Like, even, I think maybe the weakest shade, and it's not even a very weak shade at all in saying that, is this brownie purpley blue sort of a one. Love them. Really, really love the look of those. Like, yeah, like these sort of liners will just transform anything that you're doing, and I'm here for it. The last things are obviously those eyeshadows, and this was all I could find was just them in the pot. They have not swatched them. They have not shown what they look like. So I'm kind of working a bit blind here. There might be a massive potential to them. They are, I think, quite spendy. Like, for Moira, they're typically €17.95 each. So it is like, you're talking about a big spend there for an eyeshadow single for something from Moira. I'm very intrigued to know what these look like. I'm not like ruling them out. They could be absolutely fantastic. And that one at the bottom left, that kind of pale, it's like a pink, purpley blue. It looks like it's a transparent base. That's very, very interesting to me. But I don't know if I would be willing to spend that much and not be certain as to the way that it would look. I think, all in all, there's some definite hits. Clearly the eyeliners, and I will have nobody argue with me on this because I think they are amazing. And the fact, I mean, I'm trying not to go near it because it's €7.95 each right now. So if I got 8 of those, that is €63.60 for 8. Somebody talk me out of this, because I don't need it. But I like the sound of it. It's not going to change my life. In terms of the two palettes, I get what they were going for, but their execution of it on multiple levels seems quite lacking. They're not showcasing it very well. The way they've showcased their eyeliners, spectacular. Show us these in operation. Show us these, like, you have the capacity on your website to have videos. Show us what they look like when they're moving, because I feel like those are the sort of shadows that are going to perform like that. And I'm going to say the exact same thing about the singles, right? You don't even have swatches of those. What's going on? And they're not inexpensive, right? I don't understand why they haven't done that. So yeah, it's part of their holiday collection. Maybe I'm a bit weird, but because we're closing out November right now, it feels odd to me to be coming out with any new holiday stuff at this point. I'm kind of like, Jesus, this feels very last call sort of a moment. Maybe that's, I will also say I'm not a big Christmas person. I'm like, I like the tree and all of that. We don't really tend to do presents in my family because we're like, it's fine, we don't need any other things. It's just about spending time with each other. So in my mind, I think there's a little bit of a disconnect there. I'd also be very aware that if I had to get something for a deadline, I will get things like way before the deadline. I am that sort of person. Like, I knew we were doing Chris Kindle and it would be like for a random person. So I knew about that a month ago and I bought it a month ago. And I only got drawn the name yesterday and I have to give them the gift next week. And thankfully what I chose is correct. But I buy way ahead of time. So I think I'd be stressed getting something this last minute. And I know there's a lot of people who do get things last minute. So maybe you're the people they're aiming things for. I don't understand. Anyways, it just in my mind feels quite late to be doing these sorts of things, but it's grand. We then have Dandelion Cosmetics, and I did a little bit of a double take when I saw these. Nobody tagged me in it, but I don't care. I want to talk about what I want to talk about. These are already available as you're watching. They're 2 palettes. One is Midnight Muse. That's the one that has more shimmers in it. And then there's Bare. Bare is completely matte. And essentially they're selling them at the discounted price of $40 each, or $32 each for the eyeshadows only without the palette. So if you have an existing said palette, think about it, you know, you could pop those in. After the Black Friday sale, they're going to be available for $50 or $40 for the bundle without the palette. Oh my god, the palettes, by the way, they are permanent. They're not limited edition, so don't worry if you're looking at this and kind of going, oh, I don't have any money right now. You're grand, you're fine, you can wait. I am going to talk about the Bare palette first because that's the one that really got me. The shades of that, is it going to change my life? No, but you don't see many palettes that pull off this sort of a colour story. It's so hard to find those sort of grayscale, really grungy, very gothic, super interesting, ashy but in the best way. I really like the look of this, and for that price point, now I've never bought anything from Dandelion Cosmetics, so I can't speak as to what they would be like. Some of them do look like they're a bit too similar, in my opinion. Like when you see them swatched, that's what's kind of stopped me from pulling the trigger, because some of them just look a little bit too tonally similar to each other. It looks like you have 2 or 3 of the same shade swatched a few times. Do I think that they needed to make this into a 12 pan palette? No, I think they could have had the exact same effect with a 9 pan palette, is my general thoughts on that. But I like it, I absolutely do. I don't know if they're selling the shades separately, like as in singles of the shades. I'd be kind of interested in that. Then the Midnight Muse one, that is a bit sexy, isn't it? That's a bit sexy. Maybe that's just me. Very, very cool toned, very grey, very Ireland on a Monday morning. Like, you know, I really like that. It's very Moorish and Moorish. I like it. This one, I feel like there isn't the same repetition as you had with the previous one. I guess it is a grayscale, so you will see that they're all quite related to each other, but I can see more tonal differences in this one than I did in the Bare. So this one, I think they've managed to get away with a 12 pan more than they did with the Bare. The Bare, as I said, I think they could have done that with a 9 pan palette. But you know what, for the price point for an indie brand, it isn't bad at all. I don't dislike it. I think definitely if they had dropped the Bare down to like a 9 pan palette so that there wasn't as much repetition, I'd like it, because I just can't see the tonal differences very well. In saying that, obviously, I'm not a makeup artist. I am just an everyday consumer, and I don't always see these distinctions. There's probably somebody sitting at home being like, what are you talking about, Teresa? I can see massive tonal differences. Yeah, you probably can. I just can't. So for me, I wouldn't go off and get that. It just kind of wouldn't make sense. But the Midnight Muse is really interesting to me. However, I do have a lot of kind of shades in my collection that could potentially dupe that, and you know, I haven't actually tried anything from Dandelion Cosmetics. I've talked about them before. They have been around for a while. I think they've been around definitely since I started my channel, which is a really long time. It's about 6 years of this nonsense. So obviously they have a fan base. People are coming back, they're purchasing from them. I think that speaks a lot to themselves. Now, I can't vouch for them because I haven't tried from them, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, like a bad palette. I just think I have stuff, like I'm already thinking of a few palettes that I have that could potentially dupe it, but I liked it. I really did like it. I like, say, it was such a different colour story to see, so I was quite happy about it. Kudos to them. And I saw this, and I think this is absolutely stunning. This is Dede's signature, and this is their Festive Elegance palette. It's their 2025 holiday palette. So they're getting it in my mind, just under the wire, because that's me. That's the way I think of these things. As you're watching, they're already available. They launched on November 28th, 2025 at 11 AM CST. And here's the thing. If you've heard me talking about Dede's signature before, it's because they did a collaboration with Makeup on Your Radar, who is fantastic. Jamie is the one who runs that account, and she is just such a wonderful human being. And they did a collaboration together. And here's the thing. They actually said in their post, a heartfelt thank you to Jamie, who is Makeup on Your Radar, for helping shape this colour story and bringing this 2025 holiday dream to life. Your vision made this palette what it is. I've said this before, whenever I see like a collaborator coming back or being willing to work with a brand before, that is evidence that there's some good people behind the brand. And I just think that this palette is gorgeous. It's $48.99. They've also said split singles are $16.99. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to pretend that I know what that is. It's fully magnetic, so you can mix and match, etc. Makeup on Your Radar is an affiliate, so you can use their code RADAR10. It'll get you some money off. I love the colour story of this. It is Christmassy, but it's also very autumnal. I love the look of this. And even like the little foil they've put around each of those pans, that's very Christmassy as well. By the way, these pictures were stolen, I know, I'm like the worst, from the brand's Instagram, and the pictures were taken by Cine Reviews. And I just think they're so beautiful. I really like the colour story on this. It does read Christmas, but also very autumn, and I kind of like that. So two very strong Christmas palettes. And normally I'm not one for a Christmas palette. This is done really well. I like the look of this, and I like that you could use this outside of it being Christmassy, etc. The swatches, of course, are done very well. That sort of grungy green, it's looking me directly in the eye. I don't know why they always make eye contact with me. I will say I've tried obviously their formula, because I was very kindly sent on the collaboration between Makeup on Your Radar and Dede Signature, and that was about a year and a half ago, something like that. Quality was fantastic. God, it would be almost 2 years ago actually. The quality was fantastic. Super high pigment. Super high pigment. So if you are looking for like a whack of colour in the face, this is it. So be very careful, right? Go in gently. If you're a bit scared of like the blending process, just go in lightly. Go in lightly, because once it's on there, it's on there. You know, it's very pigmented, which is fabulous. You know, that red is really red, isn't it? I'm like, wow, that is such a red. Like, it's hard to get a palette these days, like around Christmas, without there being a red in it. But Jesus, it is very red. So kudos to them. I think it's done very well. We then have Lethal Cosmetics, who have come out with their Serpentine collection, and it's actually quite a small enough collection. I appreciate that. There's not too many things in it. There was like a lip balm and a tote bag, but frankly I don't want to talk about that, and you can get the singles from the palette themselves, but I didn't want to talk about those in isolation, because quite frankly I don't feel like doing it. It's my channel and I'll do what I want, and it wasn't interesting to me. I'm not going to talk about a fucking tote bag. That's ridiculous. So I was like, right, just going to talk about the bits in this collection that are interesting to me. So there's the Serpentine palette for €49. There's definitely some shades in there that are quite interesting. As I said, you could buy them separately. It makes more sense to buy it as a palette just because it works out cheaper. And then there's 5 shades of lip stains, and they're in the shades Wolfsbane, Deadly Nightshade, Lily of the Valley, Crown of Thorns and Hemlock, and they're €13.50 each. I'm going to talk about the palette first. Yes, that is a sexy colour story. I really like that. I do. There's red everywhere. Why is there red shadows everywhere? I don't feel like I could necessarily make a cohesive look out of this, but I think it's just I'm not wildly creative. There's not really like lighter shades to blend these things out with. That's not a bad thing. You have other palettes, you can use those. I don't know, it's been a long time since I've looked at Lethal and kind of been very excited about something that they've done. I do feel like they do things very well. They've had a lot of IPs, like their Dexter collab. I didn't end up buying it because it wasn't for me, even though I love the IP, but they do them very well. I like parts of this. Like the colours, it's very interesting, but then there's bits that kind of jar me. I think it's that peachy shade. If I got rid of that, and maybe that, like, there's that bright pink in there and I'm kind of not sure what to do with it. Like there's elements of this that are very interesting to me, and then elements that I'm like, it feels disjointed. So I both love the colour story for being so different, but then my brain can't quite wrap itself around it, which is funny because it's a Serpentine palette and wrapping blah blah blah. I don't know. I think I personally would struggle with this. As I said, I'm not wildly creative, but I'd think about like aspects of these to purchase. Like obviously the shade Basilisk, very, very interesting. The shade Rattle, I like those. And even the shade Snakebite, those are the more like multi-chromey shades. I like those. I'd probably get those. But if I remember correctly, they were pricey enough to buy the singles. I don't think I like this enough to bother getting it, but I do think it's interesting at least. It's not a bad one, but it doesn't call to me. And in terms of the lip stains, I think, firstly, why have you not shown these on the lips? I don't understand. I get that they've like swatched them out in the arm and that is helpful, but it's also like a full lip stain, like as they've applied it. They haven't shown it wiped off, and that's kind of what you'd really like to know with a lip stain. I think the shades Deadly Nightshade and Wolfsbane are a little bit too similar to each other, as are the top two shades, Hemlock and Crown of Thorns. I just think they're a little bit too similar to each other. The Lily of the Valley is probably the most different out of all of these. I feel like they could have maybe condensed that and had that down to be just 3 shades and you wouldn't have noticed it as much. I mean, I can't really talk about it. It's €13.50, so it's not going to break the bank, but I also don't know what they're going to look like on the lips, so it's hard to tell. In terms of the collection overall, it's not bad. I think it's been a very long time since I bought anything from Lethal Cosmetics. Just stuff that they've come out with recently, it hasn't spoken to me. I purchased from Lethal Cosmetics a long time ago when they had really started. Like I got their like Jolene palette and all that sort of thing. But it has been a very long time since I've gotten stuff from them. But this just doesn't entirely appeal to me, and I don't know why. Like there's parts of it that I'm like, oh yeah. Like I look at it and I'm like, yeah. And then the more I sit on it and think of it, the more I kind of go, oh, I'm not so sure. Which is maybe that's growth on my part, where I'm kind of being a little bit more critiquing and more evaluative of these things. It's just not wildly interesting to me, and that's grand. And I know that they've changed their formula around a bit when it comes to their eyeshadow, so I can't really speak on that anymore because I haven't tried their new formula. And I'd be afraid to kind of be like, oh, I like their formula because I'm familiar with their old formula. I don't want to lead you astray, is essentially what I'm trying to say. We then have NYX, and this is a very odd one in the sense that it's on the NYX UK site and you can see it, but it doesn't tell you how much it is. So I'm very, very confused. There's 14 shades of these and they're part of their Buttermelt line. Are you surprised? They're like, this is the idea that has done well for us. Let us keep flogging this horse. Leave the poor horse alone. It wants to have a sleep. It's essentially just a highlighter stick. They say that it's infused with nourishing butters, all of these sort of things, you know, coconut butter, blah, blah, blah. And we've seen this from brands before, you know, the likes of Pixie have done these, but they've taken sort of their existing shades in their Buttermelt highlighter powder formula and kind of put them onto the sticks. And I mean, they look grand. They've swatched them on the arm, which doesn't tell you a lot, but thankfully they've shown it on the face, which I do appreciate. And I also like that they have ensured that they have models that have some textured skin, etc. They're not retouching it, so I have a decent idea as to what these things would actually look like. So I'm obviously showing these as they're like coming up. I don't know how I feel about them. I think there's definitely some shades that I like more than others. I don't have wildly textured cheeks. It's more, I have a lot of texture around my chinny chin because that's where all my acne goes. Thanks. The tretinoin is still trying to kick in. You're not interested in that, but I just thought I'd tell you that. Yeah, there's some of these shades that do look quite nice. I appreciate that they're giving us some accurate representations of what they would look like. I don't hate them. I don't think these will be wildly expensive, or at least I'm hoping they're not wildly expensive, because I have their Buttermelt blushes and I really, really like those. But I didn't get the Buttermelt highlighter powders simply because I'm very picky about my highlighters. I don't want to show off texture where there isn't any, and frankly I don't really need any more things, if I'm 100% honest. There's a big shade range there. Like, that's 14 shades. That's a lot of stuff. It's going to depend as to how much this is. If it was any more than €16, I just don't think it'd be worth it. As I said, they haven't put it up onto the website yet as to how much they are, so I'm very much guesstimating. don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It's always good to have some drugstore options there. So I don't hate it, but I don't think it's necessarily one for me. And then the very last thing that we're talking about is a sneak peek, and I've been calling them Dieverune Cosmetics, but I was looking at their Instagram and it looks like it's pronounced Dieverune, so I'm very, very sorry. Dieverune Cosmetics, and I hope I remember that because I do have the memory of a very bad memory. Anyways, they basically said they're going to do a small Christmas launch and there's going to be 9 items. My love, I don't think you know what small is, because 9 in my book is not small, but I mean, hey, oh, there you go. Anyways, they've shown 1 item so far and it's their Holly Jolly wet liner, and it's all metallic liners. These are absolutely Christmas colours. I think I was talking to actually one of the girls that I work with who is fabulous. I won't name her, but she's brilliant and I love her and I think she's great. But we were talking about our shared love of Hallmark movies because they're so ridiculous and so cheesy and so stupid. But she was saying there's like a general rule in Hallmark where you kind of, the main characters can't be wearing anything that isn't like cream, red or green. And she said that once you know that and start looking at Hallmark movies, you're like, oh my god. And it's like Dieverune has taken that rule and gone, there you go. Because that's exactly what it is. We're talking about like green, red, whitey cream and gold. Super Christmas. Super, super Christmas. I don't know what they'd look like if they were mixed. There's part of me that's like, oh, the anxiety around that, because normally that's what you can do with the Dieverune metallic liners. I haven't bought anything from them in a while. Not out of like not wanting them, but out of trying to be a bit better and a bit more conscious with what I'm getting. This doesn't entirely appeal to me just because I feel like I wouldn't get a lot of wear out of it, but never say never. I'm really intrigued to see what else they come out with, and I know I did just say it feels like it's late to be coming out with Christmassy things, but I'm a hypocrite. I'll swallow all of that and be like, yeah, cool, you come and show me your fabulous things, I'm very excited. Like, I'm very quick to change my mind because that's just the fickle little gobshite that I am. Yeah. Anyways, my gorgeous friends, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I do, however, have my favourite comment, and this is from the gorgeous Janet. And yes, I have also been thinking about this, Janet. She said, don't make me think about the Shelby and Ghoul in Japan, but I am so excited. Honestly, same. I have been I have been checking, and I have so much work on right now. So I have been checking every spare minute. This sounds so sad. I've been checking every spare minute on on her socials, because obviously she'd be the one who'd like reveal it, and I haven't seen anything yet, but I'm very excited, very, very excited. I like Shelby, anything I've gotten from them. Really like the Blight Moon palette is one of my favourite palettes that I've tried this year, so I am very excited. I'm kind of wondering if it's going to drop soon, or are they going to wait until the new year, but it feels like very drawn out. I have thoughts on it, but it's probably best that I just like calm down, because it is quite late here and I do need to go to bed so I can go to work. Anyways, my gorgeous friends, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell, simply because it's polite and you'll hurt my feelings if you don't. And I have a lot of feelings. Do please share, because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case just wrap it up. Don't be gross. But that's it. That's the end of the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.